For the day. Oh, how I have longed for the day that we would see a time where Gail Benson would throw down the hammer and Dennis Allen would be fired. No longer do we have to be under the tyranny and the disaster of a coach who literally has gone in his career 26-53. Dennis Allen was 18 of 25 as the Saints head coach. He was 7-9 in the division. That was really bad. He was 11 of 16 outside the division. It's finally over. You know, about a year ago, I came out here on this show and I said the following. I said, we shall not, but at very random, talk about any Saints content on AYS Sports. We'll get our buddy John Hendricks on here. But if you remember, if you old heads remember, we used to talk a lot of Saints on this show. If you've been on AYS a long time, you knew it. And I told you, no more. No, sorry, no more. I will not talk about the Saints until they fire Dennis Allen. You are not a serious institution, nor are you a serious person if you thought that Dennis Allen was ever leading you to anything. But here's the truth. Saints fans can be a little delusional. You know, there's a massive difference in how fans view the Saints versus LSU. I feel like logic can be more on the LSU side at times. Like, we kind of know what it's about. These dudes thought Spencer Rattler would be an answer. You were told on this show, and you were told on Ruffino and Joe show, he was never an answer. Get out of here with that. You were warned. All hope you had should have never been there. But the Saints do make a move today, and they fired Dennis Allen as their head coach. And I must say this, because there's a lot of LSU content to talk about here tonight. Dennis Allen is just a bad head coach. Again, to repeat myself, he's 26-53 overall as the head coach. He was 18 for 25 with the Saints. He had one winning season with the Saints. He went 9-8 with the good roster that he did have. But he went 11 of 16 outside of conference, 7 of 9 in conference. And that's with a conference with the quarterbacks of Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, Andy Dalton, and Desmond Ridder. NFC South last year wasn't anything to brag about. And nevertheless, Dennis Allen was 1 for 4 against Tampa Bay. 1 for 4 against Tampa Bay in his career as the head coach with the Saints. He was 3 for 3 against Carolina. And he's lucky he didn't get a chance to face Atlanta again, because he'd probably be 3-3 there. He was 3-2. But this would have never happened, in my humble opinion. This wouldn't have happened to like an LSU and how they ran this. Maybe I guess you could say that's not true because you went with the Ed Orgeron route. When Les Miles got fired, you won a national title. But once Sean Payton left that door, you needed to blow it all up. Quite honestly, I think that Mickey Loomis needs to go. The way they've drafted, the way that they've done salary cap. Speaking of salary cap, Derek Carr is going to be a $51.4 million cap hit for the Saints next year. Lattimore is going to be about a $32 million cap hit next year. Ramchek's at 29. So you have 3 players that are on the top of your payroll that barely play or at all. You got to blow it all up. And this is why I think the Saints, as an example, are not a serious institution because, guys, I promise you this. I love Alvin Kamara. Love him. The extension you gave him was stupid to an aging running back. And I love Alvin Kamara is my favorite player, but he's an aging back. He was really the only hope you had yesterday when you lost to the worst team in the NFL. But what did you think Dennis Allen would show you that he hadn't already showed you with the Raiders? The college football equivalent to this would be, I guess, Ed Orgeron, but you vastly missed? I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know the equivalent. But he's gone. So Saints content can come back. I still don't think the Saints are a serious institution. I think Gail's got to get rid of the team. Really, I do. She has no idea what she's doing. The Pelicans were a pet project for her, and they can't figure that out either. They just are very bad at what they do or very mediocre at what they do. I'm glad Dennis Allen is out, and I am all for a woman being an owner in this in a business like the NFL. And I gladly welcome it as someone who has a daughter. And if my daughter Jewel inspires to be something like that, I hope she goes and gets it. But the bottom line is, if she was doing such a shitty job, I would hope somebody would step in. Really, I do. Wouldn't it be cool if my daughter Jewel owned the Saints? I'd be a proud papa. Very proud papa. You're not a serious institution. I get in these debates with Saints fans. Oh, you a dumbass. You a dumbass for thinking Mike Thomas is wrong. Bro, Mike Thomas is mentally unstable. Anyway, let's get to a couple of super chats. Here is on the agenda tonight. We're going to preview LSU and Alabama. We're going to talk a lot tonight. It's a big, deep dive into LSU versus Alabama. We'll get to that here. Brian Kelly talks to the media. We'll get to that. We'll recap Week 10 as well. Your boy told you on Thursday. A lot of you weren't in here on Thursday. It's okay. It's all right. A lot of you weren't here on Thursday. I told you we were going to have a good week in picks, and we did. We went 9-1. Maybe you should be there on Thursdays and figure it out, find it out, because it's going to be there. 75-25 overall on the year. Just pick'ems, not spreads. I tell you my philosophy every time. Let's beat the house. If you hit singles, you're never going to lose. If you hit a single every time you come up, you're never going to lose. Just how it works, man. Just how it works. But, yeah, we got a big agenda tonight. Cody McGee says Ben Johnson as our next head coach. I know a lot of people have thrown out Aaron Glenn, too. They just got to make the right one. Make the right one. Brad Went with a $10 super chat says, watching from the true West Bank, not the wankers end, Luling, Louisiana, stand up. DA is gone, and LSU sending Alabama home with a huge loss on Saturday. Let's go. Yeah, it could be a very good week for Louisiana people. Brad is not wrong for the Louisiana people. If you beat Alabama and Dennis Allen gets fired in the same week, my God, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be very, very glorious if that were to happen. So I agree, Brad, that is true. And thank you for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. Shock J. Smith on YouTube says a $5 super chat says, hire Ben Johnson, fire Mickey Loomis, trade all of the older players to get under the cap. It's time to rebuild. I fully agree. It's time for a full and complete rebuild in New Orleans. Ryan Ramczyk is $30 million against your cap, and he's probably done. Derek Carr had no business getting the contract that he got. But I try to have faith in that too. Boy, was I wrong. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Carver says, Blake, I called the SC over A&M. You did. It's the only game that we lost. It's the only game that I lost this week. I didn't trust South Carolina enough to get it done, and they did. And I'm glad that they did. All right, let's get moving. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook. Share to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. That is correct. Carter is not going to be joining us tonight. He is calling a basketball game, so we are going to get him back on this week. Another big guest this week. It's not missed upon me, too. Dr. Josh Eaches from WBRZ is going to be joining us at some point on Wednesday. We're going to keep monitoring this storm. So this is what I want you to do. If you have a question for Dr. Eaches about the storm, you need to send them in to me. Send them in to me. What do we think here? So I'm a little out of my depths weather-wise, but I know what I need to find out about the game. I know what I really, really, really need to worry about. I need to ask him about the game, and he'll give a much more detail. Well, I only watched Dr. Josh Eaches from WBRZ. I think you should as well. Also, another quick programming note here. We're probably going to be going a little bit sooner tomorrow with all things considered. I know what tomorrow is. You know what tomorrow is. I am not going to keep you away from some certain things. I know tomorrow is going to be chaos. We'll probably be live more around 5 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow to readjust for some things. We're going to have a lot of guests this week, but there are going to be some programming notes. Just so stay on social media, turn on the notifications on Twitter and all that stuff to catch it all out. But I'm just, we're going to adjust some things for tomorrow. I get the magnitude of what tomorrow is going to bring, and I don't want to hear it. I've done shows on political nights at 7 o'clock, and they're a dumpster fire. So we're going to move them up some. Not doing it. Learn my lesson. I don't care about who you voted for. I really do not. Not in this instance. So, yeah. All right, let's get moving. We're going to hit a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to break down Alabama LSU next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. Let's get moving here. Michael Morse with the $5 super chat says Derek Carr was Dennis Allen's QB in Oakland when he got fired. That is correct. That is correct. I feel no sympathy for the Saints. Zero. I'd talk more about them. I really would. I really, really, really would. It's just, look, man, I know. I'm going to leave that alone. Logic leaves the building. I know logic leaves the building for LSU stuff. Logic completely leaves the building for Saints stuff. Completely. People have no logic. Anyway, it is what it is there. Let's get into it. LSU and Alabama, the week is finally here. You know, it's interesting. Even though when you thought that Nick Saban and a game with LSU versus Nick Saban was going to be different when he left, it kind of somewhat isn't, because the playoff ramifications are still there. The intensity of this game is still there for LSU and Alabama. It's not like Nick Saban's not going to be at the game. Man, it's not just going to coach, but he's going to be there during game day. He's going to be on the, at least what Brian Kelly said today, he's going to be talking to Nick. We're not going to let him in the building, but, you know, you still have an office at Alabama, so we're going to keep you at arm's length. I don't think Nick Saban would divulge any information either way. But if I would have told you in the beginning of the season that LSU versus Alabama was going to come down to a playoff spot yet again, or massive ramifications in the SEC yet again, probably wouldn't have surprised you. And yet here we are, and you can label it whatever you want. What is going to be a playoff eliminator more than likely. So everything that you're going to learn about your team this week, everything that you're going to learn about Brian Kelly this week, everything you're going to learn about the culture, the players, the dynamic of where you're at stands upon the shoulders of this game this weekend, Saturday night in Death Valley. Blake, there's a hurricane coming. I don't care. It ain't going to come here. We're playing this game at night in Death Valley. It all comes down to this. Now, let's talk about Alabama and let's talk about LSU. Let's talk about what this game looks like here and the big storylines on the field that have to be answered. Guys, you have to, if you're LSU. We've talked about some of these things because we were in a bye week and we already previewed a little about Alabama. So some of these, me and you have already discussed. But now we get to go into a deeper dive and discuss them a little bit more. Can LSU run the football? Can they run the football? It's the number one question. Because when I look at Alabama up front, when I look at their front seven, when I look at the things that they do schematically, guys, I feel like you're going to be able to run the ball on them. They're 64th in the country in run defense. And it's not the same Alabama that you would think it is. They got some guys. They got some players. They also get leaky in the running game. Technically, you've been better than them in the running game. Defensively. Not asking for you to be like those years where we had stable of running backs at LSU and you could just go to any one of them and one of those guys can break off 100, 150. I'm not asking to have a performance like Darius Geis or Leonard Fournette or Kevin Falk. Guys, you should be. Regardless of how bad you have been running the football, this is not the best defensive line that you have faced by a long shot. They're not better than what you saw the last time you played against A&M. They're not like that O-line at D-line, at Ole Miss. Guys, they're not South Carolina. No way. They are not South Carolina. They have let teams run on them. And it's an area of weakness for you. So the number one thing for me is this. Besides the fact of what we're going to talk about this week with Garrett Nussmeier needing to extend plays with his legs because of schematical issues that Alabama has and what they want to do, what are you going to look like in the running game? Now, we're going to talk about what Brian Kelly said this week, and it was interesting because last week there were some rumblings coming out, and we talked about this on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know if schematically LSU completely tries to do the same exact thing that they have been doing in the running game. What have they fixed and changed the bye week, which is going to be interesting because Brian Kelly, in not so many subtle terms, confirmed or something that we talked about on Wednesday and Thursday that had just some simple rumblings. The bottom line here for that I want to find out on second and 7. Can you pick up 5 yards? That's all I'm asking. Being around 4.5 to 5 yards a carry. You do that, I'm going to feel comfortable where you are. Again, we have to process our minds and brains around the simple nature that this is not the same Alabama up front. They got some good players. Schematically, they've been put in some very tough situations. Very tough. You know, I went back and watched the Tennessee game yesterday and parts of it again today and what Tennessee did in the running game. Guys, they beat them up in the running game all night long. Now, they had really good running back play by Dylan Sampson, which, quite honestly, sprung them in the second half, which you're going to need to find from Caden Durham and Josh Williams. And by God, you got to find a way for Caleb Jackson to have his Arkansas game again. But it's not like that you have not been able to run the football against a top 15 team against the run. You go, what? That's interesting here. UCLA is 11th in the country in run defense, and you ran for 150 yards. All I'm asking for you to do. I need you to go for 5 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry, and maintain it. You know, LSU is 130th in the country in run efficiency rate. Guys, they're dead last. They don't line up and run the ball hardly at all. They're 130th in attempted runs. 130th. So a part of this is, too, that you don't want to run the ball at all, even when you get no gain. But the likelihood that that's going to happen is not that likely. Not every time. Not if you split it more down the middle. Garrett's got to get help. Okay. Well, you're 130th in run calls this year. And you should be able to line up and do it against them. If you got to go in the pistol and hand it off to Caleb Jackson and see if he's going to get you 5 yards, you got to do it. You got to get the tough 3, 4, 5 yards. Your running back room has got to find themselves this week. Because I'm telling you, if you cannot line up and run on Bama, man, guys, this they're 64th in the country. To give you an idea of how bad at times that Bama has been in the run game, it's pretty simple to me. They're 64th in the country in run defense, and you're 48th, and you know how bad that you've been in the run game. Defensively. Does that tell you something? So, if there's a number one thing that I got to see, here's how I'd phrase it. I think you're going to be able to run on them. I personally, deep down, I think that, look, I think you're going to be able to line up and run the football more than what we're expecting. What I don't think is going to happen is that you're going to do it enough. If you can't run the ball on them, man, it's pretty piss poor. O-line, you got to look yourself in the mirror, man. Receivers, tight ends, running backs, quarterback, you got to look yourself in the mirror. Because I don't know if you're a physical football team. I don't. I legitimately don't. But if you let a team that's been very bad at moments at giving up explosive plays in the run game, you're going to be embarrassed. It's going to be interesting. You know, there's another big storyline in this one, and I think it's been pretty common. You know, everybody the last 2 weeks has been bringing up, how does LSU stop Jaylen Milroe from running the football? And I agree. Guys, at this point, it's been a little bit nauseating to be – that is the big point. We're with you. It's coming off the Marcel Reed thing. I'm with you. If they stop it, that means they fix it. If they can't, it's just another game where they're not able to adjust and they're not able to figure some things out. There is one thing I think that you're going to be able to do on Alabama when I look at them, because they're 86th in the country in sacks, 82nd at allowing sacks, and they have a quarterback that wants to move. Their offensive line, physically, they have been fine. They have been easily confused multiple times this season. Vandy, second half against Georgia, South Carolina. Wait, South Carolina had 5 sacks on them in the first half. Oh, and by the way, just throwing this out there, Tennessee. Alabama is going to make mistakes. They're going to get penalties. It's who they are. It's in their DNA. If they don't do it against you, either number one, the SEC is cheating you, or number two, something miraculous happened that they're not putting themselves in bad situations. But Brian Kelly was right today when he said this. We got to be really good at tackling on first down. You damn right you better. And you better figure out how you're going to stop a running quarterback, because one thing's for sure, they're going to try to run Jaylen Milroe and see how you defend it. But the big thing in this too, and why it's so critical to, in my opinion, to not only stop Jaylen Milroe, but to be really good defensively against this running game, is because they have a bad propensity of allowing sacks. It happened last year. It's happening a little bit as the same rate as it did a year ago. Guys, did you know that they were 60th in the country at this point last time at allowing sacks? Now you look at them from a statistical analysis standpoint, from a pass rush standpoint, they've gotten worse. Braden Swinson versus Elijah Pritchett, the right tackle. You're going to have to move Braden Swinson over there. It's a massive mismatch for Braden Swinson. So as much as it is a big deal that you need to stop Milroe on these run attempts, I'm with you. It is. It's a massive deal. You let him run all over you a year ago. But the bottom line remains, and I mean, like, legitimately remains, if you can stop that, and I'm not even saying stop it, if you can limit it, if you can contain it, and you get him in the third down situations that he needs to throw the football, guys, you can get after him. Because I think Blake Baker can send things that are exotic enough to confuse that offensive line that can get after Jaylen Milroe. Now, that little I formation, defensive formation you ran against A&M, throw that formation in the garbage. Please don't do that again. But it's interesting. How does Brian Kelly and Blake Baker and Bo Davis and Kevin Peoples, after getting exposed last week, guys, you got exposed, or 2 weeks ago, you got exposed. Let's call it what it is. How do they react to it? How much of a big emphasis is it? Brian Kelly mentioned today that, you know what we've been working on? This is we've only been working on 3 areas this week, which hopefully doesn't come back to bite you, but we've been working on 3 areas this week. Number 1, how do we not turn the ball over, which we're going to get to in a minute. Of course we are. But then number 2, how do we stop a quarterback from running all over us? And then number 3, and the biggest thing, is how can we run the football? Yeah, you better have been working on it. You better have been working on it. It's the 2 biggest things. Number 3, speaking of turnovers, please, dear Lord, I hope Garrett doesn't force things this week and throw picks. You're allowed 1. I mean, it's in our DNA as a team right now. We're going to throw picks. Guys, they cannot cover all 5 of you, or all 5 of the guys that's going to rotate in for you at receiver. They can't. Georgia in the second half threw all over them and they do not have the receiving core that you do. The common denominator here, ironically, is that Carson Beck and Gary Nussmeier have a lot in common. A lot in common. Big arm, make NFL throws. They have games with 3+ turnover or 2+ turnovers. You gotta limit them, though, man. You had speaking of Georgia, so I think this is somewhat relative. Want to know how big turnovers are? Guys, Florida, with a quarterback from Yale that was a walk-on, it was a 7-point game with 3 minutes left to go because Carson Beck continued to turn the ball over. You let teams, regardless of how bad they are, stay around with you. Take the sack, throw the ball away, force the punt. Here's why it's bigger this week than in normal times. Why it's even bigger this week, I should say, because it's not like it's not a big thing on the agenda. Guys, Alabama might have an issue on special teams because Cole Adams, their return man on punt and kick return, is out for the year. How do they fill punts? How do they fill kickoffs? So if you don't convert on the third down and you punt, and in Death Valley, where things are going to be very tense, do they have somebody back there that can fill punts? Now, if you listen to Kalen DeBoer's press conference today, boy, did he feel a little skittish about what he has going on at punt return. He talked about how Cole Adams was our most reliable guy back there, and we're going to rotate some guys in and, back there just in case. Like, guys, it's LSU year one all over again. Legitimately. If you can get your own turnover or great field position because they don't have a punt return game, take the win. And look, it may be a positive in the return game, but it doesn't. Like, they could have found something. Like Cole Adams getting hurt, they find somebody breaks off a long punt return. Who knows? But the bottom line is, guys, you're not punting the football because you're turning the ball over so much. Field position, time of possession, not having turnovers still wins you football games. Fundamentals of football still win you more football games than they don't. The biggest lie in college football right now is that the big fundamental things are the things that, this guy, their offense does this, their defense does that. No, well, what happened? Well, one team turned the ball over, the other didn't. Or one had the ball longer than the other team and dominated throughout the entire game. Or they have turnovers like what Georgia did last week and why kept that Florida game so close. I think that you might have a little bit of advantage on special teams. And it's tough saying that because last week you looked like ass, or 2 weeks ago you looked like complete ass against A&M. Punt the ball to them and see what happens. That's all I ask. Don't turn the ball over. Guys, if you have one or less turnover in this game, you're going to win. You're going to win. If you play clean-ish football, you're going to win the game. But I have no faith that you can do it. Zero faith that you can do it and accomplish it. One thing I do feel confident in is that you were a team coming off of a loss. So how have you refocused? Brian Kelly teams have been able to refocus a lot of times. But a big thing still remains for me is that if you cannot stop turning the ball over, you're going to lose one of these next 4 football games. Now, not even really thinking about it, it was dawned upon me or brought upon me, and it's a shame for me to, number one, admit this, but number two, not even realize this. Guys, if you win out, you're in the SEC championship game because you would have a win over Alabama. Georgia doesn't. If A&M wins out, will just be a rematch between the both of yous. And if Texas winds up being A&M at the end of the year, you only have one conference loss. The fact remains that you're going to get clipped if you keep turning the ball over the way that you are. Every statistical defensive stat kind of gets thrown out of the window for me sometimes, like scoring defense. Guys, you know that from a 100-yard standpoint, LSU is top 25 in not allowing points defensively. Do you know that they're 15th in the SEC in starting field position defensively? Now, a lot of that's got to do with Texas A&M and turning the ball over, but you get my point. I think you might have an advantage in special teams. We'll see. We talked about this a little bit briefly earlier, but I want to emphasize it a little bit more now. I think that your wide receiver room as a whole is actually not that bad. Not right now. The problem that I think that you're having is that you're forcing the ball a little bit too much to one guy, that being Kyron. But C.J. Daniels, Mason Taylor, Aaron Anderson, and now Chris Hilton coming back into the fold. Those guys have got to receive half of your passing attempts. Brian Kelly even mentioned this today. I'm glad that he did, because if he didn't, I'd be a little bit worried. He's like, look, man, we got to distribute the ball a little bit better to other people. You're right, you do. You 1,000% do. Because Kyron Lacy has 618 receiving yards on the year, and Aaron Anderson has 614. One guy has double the targets. Now, you could say, well, Blake, wide receiver one should have double the targets. But Aaron Anderson has half less of the targets and has almost the same production. If you're going to go full air raid, you got to play percentages. So number one rule in a Mike Leach offense, you got to go to the percentage that's working. That's why the air raid is invented, and was invented by two guys who has law degrees, and Hal Mummy and Mike Leach. Play the percentages. It's money ball without it being with. If you run it effectively with great athletes, LSU 19, it's not really money ball. It's money ball on steroids. I don't know if Bama has faced a passing attack like yours, even with the interceptions that you have in there. I don't think that they have faced the athletes in reference to the caliber of athlete that has a quarterback that can get them the football consistently enough. Now, Garrett makes some bad decisions, and we all know that he makes bad decisions, which can be a plus for Alabama secondary. But I think you can win there, and I think you can win there a lot. But the bottom line remains for me, too, here. If you're not getting, number one, the football, if you're not getting 8-6 the football, if you're not getting 4 and 3 the football, and even 0, if you limit them and you limit their touches like you did against A&M, you're going to have issues. You're going to have issues. There is no reason that Aaron Anderson should have 3 catches and over 100 yards and a touchdown, and he gets 5 targets. What are we doing? What are we doing? When you run the air raid, you got to be efficient. And if you're not efficient, you're going to get exposed. Run game or no run game. If you're going to throw, guys, you're 130th in run efficiency. Then either you can't run or you don't want to run. The bottom line still remains. Well, then if it's first down, you got to run a quick hitter and get 6 yards. Teams have not, there have been teams that have had the inability to run the football. You're not the first. But there's only one way to go. By the way, you got to call the run game a little bit more. Other than that, if Aaron Anderson's going to give you 8 yards on a small stick route, you got to throw him the football. It's as simple as that. You got to throw C.J. Daniels and Chris Hilton the football. Got to throw Mason Taylor the football. By the way, he's got to get more than 3 targets a game. Not saying not get Kyron Lacy the touches in the football. What I'm saying is, even if I cut out half of them, if I say Kyron Lacy just gets half of them, that would be a surplus of what's going on right now and what LSU's trying to do. A surplus. You got to stop being so predictable. Look, I think it would even help Kyron. It would help get people off of him and people will back off of him. They're not going to he's too physical for you to play bump and run on him too long all game. It's not going to happen. By the way, which leads into my kind of semi-last point here. Guys, unless something changes, which it can change, Alabama can 1,000% change in this. But they want to play off man-to-man coverage. Tennessee had so much success. Vandy had so much success doing one simple thing in the pass game, throwing a slant pattern over and over and over again. And Bama didn't have an answer. So if they're going to play what they've been doing all year, if they're going to play man coverage, you got to pick them apart. You got to run slants, drags, screens. And you know what another big thing that you got to do is that when your quarterback has running lanes, he's got to go get you a first down. Think about this stat. Now, our good buddy Josh Pate's going to be here this weekend. We need to get him a good food list. Think he needs to go to Pyran's or Ruffino's? Of course, Ruffino's, you know, the Paisans. So is Pyran's. I counted 12 times in 4 games where the quarterback for the opposing team against Alabama on a critical third down ran for a first down because Bama was in man-to-man coverage and their D-base had their backs to the quarterback. They stepped up in the pocket and they ran for first downs. Guys, if you do that 4 times, you are going to make them have to adjust. Nico did it 3 times. USF did it 4 times. Vanderbilt did it 4 times. So that'd be 13. So my math is off. But 4 Vandy, 4 Tennessee, and 3 against South Florida. Garrett's got to put his head down and get moving. Got to get moving. Bama has not adjusted. They're going to revert back to playing man-to-man coverage. They're going to give you 2 high looks. So you're going to have to dump the ball off. And if you're not going to run the football, even Josh Williams has got to get touches out of the backfield. Caden Durham's got to get touches out of the backfield. Make them adjust. And then you can start setting some things up. But you got to pick them apart. You never go broke making a profit. And that is what teams have done against Bama to beat them because they just won't adjust. So when I look at Bama, those are the 4.5 big things. There is one more remaining here. From a defensive perspective, you better be ready for everything. There were a couple of plays in the bye week or coming out of a bye week for Alabama earlier in the year with some goofy stuff that they ran. They ran a counter run pop pass to Kendrick Law. One of the most beautifully designed plays by Kalen DeBoer that I'd seen in a while. Went for 20 on 3rd and 1. They went under center and ran a quarterback sweep with Jaylen Milroe to the opposite strong side hash. Got a first down. Actually went for 17 yards. They ran a reverse counter read, and then a ton of veer game, meaning with the quarterback. They're going to run veer, they're going to run power, they're going to run wham, they're going to run counter. And you better be prepared for everything in the running game. Every single thing. If you're not, you're going to lose. Kalen DeBoer is going to come out with something up his sleeve. And what we've seen from them so far, it's normally in the run game. You guys are reverse. The other thing, too, you know what's interesting about Ryan Williams, the 17-year-old wide receiver? He's young, and he's going to be a really good wideout. Going to be so good. Boy, does he hate when DBs are very physical with him. Ashton Stamps, Cy Alexander, I'm looking at you. Go turn on the tape. Go turn on the film. He had a good touchdown catch against Tennessee. DB didn't get a hand on him. Every time he caught a pass against Tennessee, they were hitting the shit out of him, lighting his ass up. And at the end of the game, he wanted nothing to do with it. He didn't want a damn thing to do with it. All right. So when I look at Alabama, those are the 5 big things. When I see Bama versus an LSU team, what are the storylines in this game? Out like on-field storylines, those I think got to be the top 5. Or 5.5, however you want to label it as. Okay. Before we get to some comments here, do we have any more super chats, guys? Yes, 1. Okay, get to it. Peyton says, brother, do you think we play Saturday? I bought tickets for me and my pops. Been looking forward to it. Yeah, I think we're playing Saturday. I think we're playing Saturday in Death Valley. Now, we're going to have Dr. Josh Eaches on, and he's going to explain all that. We're going to wait for him to come on Wednesday so that we have some time to kind of react and see where this thing's going. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Let's get to Brian Kelly real quickly. So Garrett Dellinger is out with a tightrope surgery. They think he could be back for Florida. That's big. CJ Daniels on the injury report. Brian Kelly said he was so much better than he was against Texas A&M. That's good. You need him to be back. He brought up Aaron Anderson. I think Glenn West of 247 was the one that asked the question. It's a really good question. Do you need to get Aaron Anderson more involved? Or maybe it was Koki Riley. I don't remember. It's a great question. Thank you for admitting you watched the show. But, yeah, does Aaron Anderson got to get more involved? Hell yes. So Brian Kelly was at his press conference today. I'm just going back over it. Hell yes, he does. Brian Kelly started off says we focus on recovery, balanced run game, and defensively starting to stop a quarterback that can run. We talked about that. Talked about first down tackling. We talked about that. I agree with him on that. All right, I'm going to bring this up. He was asked about Jacoby and Guillory. Guys, he said 4 weeks ago that they had filed an NCAA patent and it was pending, but they had said that they are going to agree with it with him being here and that they filed it because he was coming back. Why this is big news, I have no idea. Like, he literally said it like 6 weeks ago in a press conference. Thank you for admitting you don't watch. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mentally, I don't get it. Like, he already said it. I don't know why it wasn't big news then. People just don't listen or pay attention. Brian Kelly was asked a very interesting question about Paul Mabenga. I thought Paul Mabenga, when he came in for Dellinger, actually played moderately well. He didn't miss assignments. The problem was like physically he might just not be ready. But, man, I think he held his own, to be real with you. I mean, he's not going to get a push necessarily all in the running game, but, man, he's not going to give anything up, really. I thought Paul Mabenga played fine, man, if I'm being real with you. It's going to be interesting to see how he does. He could be a big weak link, or he could be really good for you. We'll see. But we need somebody that can go in that guard position and be a mauler. We need somebody that can fuck somebody up in the running game. We don't have that right now. We do not have that right now. We have nobody in the interior that can line up and punch somebody in the mouth. Miles Frazier is too soft for it, and Dellinger's too slow. But we just don't have somebody that's going to knock somebody's shit out, pop somebody's back out. I'm not trying to be weird or you having to pause me the whole episode, but I mean, come on. We do not have anybody nasty in the interior. And look, man, you got to be nasty in there. First off, massive pause. I played in there, played in the interior. You got to be nasty. This is not playing interior offensive line is not for the faint of heart. It's just not. You got to do dirty shit. Sorry. For any woman that's listening, I'm sorry. Guys, there's dirty shit that goes on in the interior of the run game. There's no holds bars. If you leave your rib cage open, you got to punch them right in the rib cage and take their breath away. You want to know why these big fat off defensive linemen are on the ground and they look like they can't catch their breath? Because they left their ribs open too long and they got punched right in it. It's a violent game, man. If you don't like it, you got to get over it. Are you going to be a physical football team? I agree with BK that it was a physical thing with Paul Mabanga against A&M, but we'll see on that, man. We'll see on that. But who's going to be nasty? Be a super freak. Brian Kelly was asked about turnovers. I hadn't brought this up much, but I think it's good to bring it up now. How do I want to start this off? I listened to Kirby Smart today, by the way. Kirby came out and flat out, and people say Kirby threw Carson Beck underneath the bus. He didn't. He just said, listen, guys, we got to stop turning the ball over. That's a two-time national champion winning head coach. Brian Kelly said the same thing today. Look, man, I don't know what else to tell you. You can think whatever you want about me as a human being. Please do. A lot of people have opinions about me that you don't even know me, so how do you know? But golly, guys, I really wish I knew where you were as a team without them. I wish you would have had one pick against Ole Miss, one pick against A&M, because then you can make a better determination. Not when the defense is starting off on their own 8-yard line. Like, that's bullshit. Starting off with their own 19-yard line. Guys, that's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. Last thing, Brian Kelly was asked about the fake injury thing. SEC, they're going to find people. Here's my solution to the SEC. My solution to the SEC is pretty simple. Want to stop faking injuries? Hire 16 doctors and make them be on each sideline for each team during a game. Let me tell you why. Let the SEC doctors be overseers of, like, if a player's really hurt and can determine if a player's actually hurt or not. I know you don't want to probably do something like that. It's just more money out of the SEC's pocket. But, man, how are you going to prove it? Are they going to throw a flag this week for faking injuries? Is that literally going to happen? Because I don't believe that they're going to do that. I legitimately don't believe that they're going to do that. The only thing that you got to do and tell them is, like, tell your players to fake the injury sooner and wallow around on the ground like you're hurt. Just don't make it so obvious. So I don't know. All right. Alan Smith said he had a terrible PFF grades, 38 run, 48 pass block. PFF also said that Garrett Nussmeier had your highest offensive grade. He had 3 picks. Carvis Durr with a $5 super chat says, Blank, thank you so much, or thank you for your consistent takes on offense. I'm getting heat for fair takes. I like Nuss. He signed my son's football. He can be better, though. Oh, he's got to be better. He's got to be better. I mean, that's the bottom line. Lamar G says you can never go broke taking a profit. CFP 25 reference. Never. It's how I play football. It's statistically impossible, guys. There's no way. Bro, if you get 3 yards on every play, it's statistically impossible for you to not do it. Visible or visual hype says AO pause. Yeah. Corey Rogers with the dumbest take of the night by saying and bringing in politics in here, which you shouldn't be doing. Guys, the next person that talks politics is getting blocked. Come on, man. I don't bring that in here. There's no reason for it. Zero reason. Carvis says, I think that Sage or Gilbert can have some opportunities for INTs. I do too. I 100% agree with that. 1,000% agree with that. All right. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we talk about Week 10 recap, Week 11 preview. What does it mean for LSU 2 and that? So stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirement. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Easy Free Bail Bonds, LLC, where they get your feet back on the street. There may come a time where a loved one or yourself is arrested and you don't have enough money to get bail from jail. Easy Free Bail Bonds will assist you in the process of getting bail bonds for your family. These bonds are a way to ensure that you're financially covered when a predicament like an arrest occurs. Easy Free Bail Bonds is located inside the state of Louisiana with an expert team of bondsmen that are available to assist you or your family 24/7. The team is professional and has a high-quality work ethic that will give you nothing but satisfaction. The company takes feedback from past customers in order to better their services and are always looking to accommodate and mold their services that best fit your needs. Remember this number, 985-517-3631. That's 985-517-3631. Because when you need to get back on your feet and back on the street, you know who to call.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
So I think a lot of you saw this today. I posted this on Twitter. After the Dennis Allen news was out and that he had been fired, I had made a Goodfellas reference. Remember the scene in Goodfellas when Robert De Niro is smoking a cigarette? Dun, 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 boom, 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 boom. I think a lot of you saw it. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you saw it. This is what I talk about with Saints fans and real and logistical mindsets being thrown out the window. They thought I was serious about that. That Coach O should be the interim for the New Orleans Saints. They thought I was legitimately serious. Because I said Coach O's seen a Louisiana team needs an interim OC. And that was the vote for the video. Jeez and Pete. I don't get it. I don't get it. Rick says, make Milroe try to beat us through the air. I don't see that he can. Might not be able to. Might not be able to. And look, man, listen. I mean, A&M came down the earth this week getting beat by South Carolina. Vandy is not one of the worst teams in the SEC. I mean, Georgia is beatable. God, dude, there's so much shit that can happen throughout the SEC after this past week. Literally, there is. So, I don't know. One thing I do know, we'll see you tomorrow. Here's how I'm going to end it. I'm not getting into it with you tomorrow. We're talking LSU. It's LSU-Bama week. Do what you want to do. Leave it out of AYS. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.